guest, Sue Phillips, is a scentologist that has worked with companies such as Tiffany and Burberry, and she's here to tell us all about scents. Coming up right after this message.
When every moment matters and a hand reaches out, when someone gives blood and a life is saved, that moment when heartbreak turns to hope, you're there through the American Red Cross. Every day, the Red Cross responds to nearly 200 neighborhood emergencies, and your support makes it possible. Use this moment to join us today. Visit redcross.org.
Wildfires were getting dangerously close to homes. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That moment?
It was a moment that changed my life. I'd been training with my team for months, and now we had been called up for the first time. The real deal. Wildfires were getting dangerously close to homes. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
Welcome to the show. My next guest is going to tell you everything that you wanted to know about scents. Welcome, scentologist Sue Phillips. Welcome to the show, Sue.
Hi, Yvonne. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. You've been in the business for a long time.
Yes, I have.
You work for companies such as Tiffany, Burberry, Trish McAvoy.
Yes.
Tell us all about it.
Well, I am passionate about fragrance, and thank you for having me, and thank you for letting me explore and explain what we do. I love perfume. I love to make the world smell good. And the interesting thing is that our sense of smell is actually our least used sense. It's the most ignored, although it is our strongest. It's our most powerful sense after our sense of sight. But it's the most ignored and most forgotten. And so for me, what I love to do is to help people understand, explore the magic of scent and fragrance, and actually help them create their own.
When I smell scents like I go in a department store, after I smell about 4 or 5, I just get so confused.
Right.
I don't know which one is better than the next. What do we do about that?
Well, you're absolutely right. Do you know that there are thousands of perfumes launched every year across all channels of distribution, across drugstore, department store, perfumeries, and so on? And what happens is many, many people do get confused. And so they say, if you go to a store, just try 2 or 3 or max 4, because your nose will become anosmic. You'll end up not smelling. So we have coffee sachets here just for those people who want to neutralize their nose palates. But, you know, you can use a sleeve of a shirt or your own skin just to refresh your nose. But I think the problem is there's not much education in the stores today. You know, you go from counter to counter to counter, and you just smell, and people are not really, they don't understand what goes into fragrance. And I think, you know, you're right. You can go and you can smell fragrances, and you can be very confused.
Is there any truth to smelling a fragrance after it dries on your skin?
Yes. The interesting thing about fragrance is that we all have our own body chemistry. So if you smell something on somebody else and you say, oh, it's wonderful, I love it, and then you smell it and you try it on your own, it could change. I mean, that's what's happened to me. I was in Paris one year and I tried a fragrance that was in the air. It smelled so delicious. It was amazing. And I went back to the hotel room and it had turned. It was just awful. I had to wash it off. So the idea is you try a fragrance on a blotter strip. Now these are called little blotter strips. And the reason that we use these is because it's very neutral. Because if I spray something on my skin and I ask you to smell it, you might like it, but then you might not. But if you spray it on your skin, you might like it. So we like to do something that's very neutral. What categories do you like?
Well, actually, I like Angel.
Okay.
I really do.
Okay, I happen to love Angel too, and there's a vanilla note in there, and there's also a chocolate note, there's also a cotton candy note, and there's also the idea of his mother's nail polish remover.
Really? I can smell all of those things.
Exactly.
Yes.
This is actually one of the notes that's in Angel. I don't have all of the notes, but This is an amber note, and it's got a lovely sort of ambery note to it. There's also vanilla in there. There's
I like
also
that.
chocolate notes.
I think I would like a little bit more
Sweeter,
vanilla for
yes.
me. Yes.
And I have all the fragrances. I have all vanillas, but I just don't have it particularly here right now. But the interesting thing is that the people love to create fragrances that remind them of their childhood. And Terry Mugler actually wanted to create something that was reminiscent of his childhood. So that's why there's all the cotton candy from the fairgrounds, chocolate, which he loved, vanilla, which every kid loves, and his mother's nail polish remover. Smell, not the actual nail polish remover,
Right,
just the aroma of it.
Right. We're going to come back and talk more about scents with Sue Phillips right after this message.
When every moment matters and a hand reaches out, when someone gives blood and a life is saved, that moment when heartbreak turns to hope, you're there through the American Red Cross. Every day, the Red Cross responds to nearly 200 neighborhood emergencies, and your support makes it possible. Use this moment to join us today. Visit redcross.org.
Wildfires were getting dangerously close to homes. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at nationalguard.com.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That moment?
It was a moment that changed my life. I'd been training with my team for months, and now we had been called up for the first time. The real deal. Wildfires were getting dangerously close to homes. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at nationalguard.com.
Welcome back. We're here with scentologist Sue Phillips. Sue, I see you brought some samples here for us to test out.
Yes,
Great.
absolutely.
Tell us about them.
Well, there in the fragrance sort of lexicon, we say we have fragrance families, and the fragrance palette is huge. But the four main themes are citruses, woodsy, florals, and oriental. So what does all that mean? So mostly citrus notes are, as we see here, lemons, limes, oranges, mandarins, neroli, and bergamot. And this is basically a blend of all those wonderful citrus ingredients.
Yeah, this is very
This is
citrusy.
very nice, light, bright, fresh,
Very good.
effervescent.
Yeah, very light.
And that's citrus. Then, of course, the most popular category and the biggest fragrance family would, of course, be our florals, our fragrances. Think about how many flowers we have: irises, rose, gardenias, jasmine, honeysuckle. Just, the list is amazing. And so what we have here are some wonderful florals. I just brought one or two just to show you. But this is a very sort of light.
Should I let this dry?
You can let that dry a little bit.
You have to maybe blow on it a little
Yes,
bit.
because these are not essential oils. These are perfumes, actually.
I passed a tree the other day.
Yes.
I do not know what type of tree it was, but I'm going to tell you, I could have stood there all day.
It
I
was
could have
so
stood there
fabulous.
and the scent was just fabulous. I could have just
This is a sort of
slept
a
under that
nice,
tree.
light, fresh lily fragrance with a
Oh
hint
yeah,
of
this is
hyacinth.
very much
pretty,
like
and that's
a
very,
lily. Very
yes.
much.
You
I
know,
like that.
the thing about our sense of smell being so powerful is exactly what you said. People can walk down the street and they can stop dead in their tracks when they smell something that reminds them of their childhood, or a past lover, or a first newborn baby, or somebody that we don't have anymore. If you go into an attic and you can smell, somebody's scarf, or the memory of somebody is there. So our sense of smell is very, very powerful. So I talked about the citrus family. I talked about the floral. So now I'm going to show you the woodsy. And wood, as I think I mentioned, is a very, very big category now.
Now, isn't this pretty popular among men's fragrances?
It is. Interestingly enough, a lot of American men,
I like this.
that's woody, that's creamy. This is basically from the sandalwood. Many American men love the light, sporty, sort of fragrance. It makes
And
it feel
spicy.
sporty and
Yeah,
spicy.
yeah,
And
yeah.
actually, here is a spicy. They like to feel macho. They like to feel sexy. They feel that being
I like this too.
wearing. So you see, because you like Angel. Interesting.
Really?
Yes, you like the deeper, warmer,
I do.
more oriental,
I do.
ambery,
Yes.
sensual, very sensual. You're a very sexy, sensual lady.
Exactly.
And amber, spicy, warm fragrance will do that. And then this is
Isn't
the-
that funny how you pick a fragrance that is very much like your
Exactly.
personality
Oh,
or
absolutely,
characteristic?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very
Because
good.
it's interesting. You didn't like the citrus, and now and I know why. You know, you said, yeah, that's lemony. You
I
didn't
like
it,
but I
not
like
for
that
you.
deeper.
Exactly.
Now, Sister,
Now I want to ask you.
Go ahead.
I want to show you something.
Mhm.
So now I'm going to show you.
I don't know which glass this went in.
It doesn't
is it this
matter
one?
because
Oh,
guess
okay.
what? I'm going to show you. Try these three together and tell me
No,
what
we're
you
doing
think.
something here. Oh, that's different.
Isn't it different?
I like that.
Now I did was I combined the spicy notes, the wonderful woodsy note, hold on, and the amber. Now if we want to brighten it up a little bit and make it a little bit, well, let's say if we want to brighten it up, we're going to try the sort of light lily version.
Okay, and
Try
put this
that-
with
put
this
that
one.
in- yes.
Okay.
And this is basically what we do in our seminars. Isn't that interesting how it
Oh,
brightens
this
it
is
up?
this is a totally different scent.
And now
Totally different.
add a hint of gentle, of a light floral, and see
Okay.
what that'll do to it.
This is unbelievable.
Is that amazing how they all combine together?
This is unbelievable.
So what is
I should
interesting?
rub it on.
So what happens is, what's interesting is when you take the fragrance families, each one can be worn individually, and you can reflect your own individual personality and your individuality. But if you want to be a little daring and you say, I don't want to wear a fragrance that
That
I
everybody
can't
else.
that everybody wears,
Right.
and I can't find it again. And here I've given you just, we had 6. You tried 5 together, and you created something amazing.
We're going to talk more about creating a scent of your own in just a minute. We're going to come right back with Sue Phillips, and we're going to talk more about scents right after this message.
When every moment matters and a hand reaches out. When someone gives blood and a life is saved. That moment when heartbreak turns to hope. You're there through the American Red Cross. Every day, the Red Cross responds to nearly 200 neighborhood emergencies. And your support makes it possible. Use this moment to join us today. Visit redcross.org.
Wildfires were getting dangerously close to homes. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That moment?
It was a moment that changed my life. I'd been training with my team for months, and now we had been called up for the first time. The real deal. Wildfires were getting dangerously close to homes. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
Welcome back, and we're here with scentologist Sue Phillips. Sue, tell us what is going on when you can only wear a cologne for a certain amount of time. My experience has been that my favorite cologne I wore every day for years, and then all of a sudden it smelled horrible on me.
Well, sometimes formulas change. Sometimes natural ingredients change, and so they might not be able to get, the best crop of flowers, petals, something like this, or they might not get, or the alcohol changes. And what happens typically is over the years, formulas can change. And so as a result, the formula and the fragrance that you loved, many, many years ago, changes. The water can change, the alcohol can change. So there are minute, subtle shifts in a formula which will land up making the fragrance smell difficult.
And I thought it was me.
Now, the other part of that is that you also get very used to it.
Okay.
The longer you wear something have you often heard people say, oh, I love it, but I can't smell it on me anymore?
Yes, I have heard that.
So if you love a fragrance and you wear it constantly, what happens is you'll end up becoming kind of a little bit immune to it. So you don't smell it on yourself, but other people smell it. But there are subtle shifts in formula changes. There's also, as we age, we lose our sense of smell. Do you know that our sense of smell is so tuned into our sense of taste? And so as we age, if we lose our sense of smell, we actually lose our sense of taste.
Wow.
And that's a very sad thing, because everything that we do is arranged around our social calendar. Let's meet for lunch, let's meet for breakfast, let's meet for dinner, let's meet for drinks, let's meet for coffee. So it's all related to food. And if we can't socialize because, you know, we've lost our sense of smell, it's very depressing.
What's happening when a person, they have allergies towards scents, they get sick? Now, my sister, for instance, if I wear any type of cologne around her, she gets horribly sick. She starts to vomit and she starts to sneeze. I mean, she put me out. She put me out of her car one day, and she said, "You got to go." So, what is happening? Is there anything anybody can do?
Yes, I have a whole. My feeling about this is I've been in the fragrance industry for many years, and I've developed and launched beautiful fragrances for companies such as Tiffany, Burberry, Trish McEvoy, and now we do the custom perfumes. What's happened is, unfortunately, many ingredients that are being used today are not high quality. And when there are so many thousands of fragrances being launched every year, do you know that, as I said, to start with, thousands of fragrances are launched. How many of them really make it? How many of them really become successful? Maybe one or two. So what happens is, in this quest to really become popular and to get the next, you know, blockbuster fragrance, many companies are using inferior quality ingredients.
And you would have never thought
And
that.
the result is that people like your sister become very, very allergic. Yvonne, I've been doing seminars like this for the last 3.5 years. I've been in the business for longer. But
how do you pay $100 for cologne?
Well, that's the problem. Before that, I never heard that, and I've been in the industry a long time, because more and more companies are looking to get onto the fragrance bandwagon.
Right.
More and more celebrities are introducing fragrances, and they want to compete in a marketplace which is very saturated, and so they want to come up with the next blockbuster, and so they're using inferior products, but they're advertising it, and so as a result, people do really get allergic.
And they're probably turning over this product so fast.
Exactly.
They're not taking their time. I understand, like, for instance, Angel, they were saying that this person developed this product over a number of years.
Yes.
I don't know if it was 2 years or 3 years.
Sometimes it could be more.
Yeah.
Because you really want to make sure, you know, I think I told you in one of the breaks that perfumery is like a creation of art, and it's a combination of art and science. There's tremendous amount of training that has to go into it. You have to know what ingredients can blend together. You have to know what crops will yield certain ingredients. You have to know how to create them and combine them. You know, just like art and just like music and just like fine wine, there is a creation of art and science. And you can't just mix and match anything, because you'll end up getting, you know, in food you'll get mud, in art you'll get brown paint, and in music you'll get a mess and bad noise.
Well, that's understandable.
Yeah.
Now, what about trends?
Okay.
Is there such a thing as a perfume trend?
Yes, and I'm so glad you asked that. I like to say that just the way we have political, social, and economic trends, you can see those things happening in perfumery. You know, when our mothers and grandmothers were around, the very heavy, big, bold florals, the Shalimars and the Chanels and the white shoulders were very popular in the 1920s, and they're coming back. But, you know, over the time, let's go more recently, in the 1980s, when there was a wonderful, big, bold, exuberant economy, and things were happy, and everybody was earning tons of money. Well, florals were sort of the big trend. Beautiful, bold florals. Remember Giorgio, Beverly Hills?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened after that? There was a shift, and in the 1990s, we got a little retrenchment. The economic slowed down. Things were a little bit watery, more powdered, more coming down. And so there was a fragrance called Issey-Miyake. Very light, very ozonic, very marine, very fresh, not bold, not exuberant. as we sort of went into the millennium, people started to get nostalgic again. They started to want the good old days. They wanted to go back to those good old-fashioned, wonderful fragrances.
How do they determine this? How do they determine? It's strange because it's very political in a sense.
Yes,
but you're actually leading the minds of people to think that they want a certain thing. I don't know if it's the people so much.
I think it's really, how do we know, for instance, that colors in the fall, we're in lovely bright, and it's so wonderful to see us in both happy colors
today.
Because I think people get tired of the dark colors after fall, and I think the same is true with perfumery. So right now, yes, we're going into spring and into summer, so obviously citruses are going to be very popular, bright, bold, lovely, light, citrus, invigorating scents. But you asked about a trend. One of the popular trends in perfumery today for both men and women is oud, O-U-D. Do you know what O-U-D is?
No.
It's the French for wood. And so here is actually the most fabulous sandalwood. This is actual real sandalwood. And these are very
wonderful.
Very creamy. And sandalwood as an ingredient is now emerging as a trend in both women and men's fragrances, and it's under the name oud, O-U-D. So
Oud.
Tom Ford has it, Kilian has it, many popular fragrance designers and celebrities are looking at oud. So again, and I truthfully, I think, Yvonne, the thing is, in spring and in summer we want light, bright, fresh, happy colors. In fall and winter we go to the more comforting, bolder, stronger, warmer, deeper, darker colors. So everything is a trend, and in perfumery it is too.
We're going to talk more about that.
Okay.
We're going to come right back with scentologist Sue Phillips right after this message.
When every moment matters and a hand reaches out, when someone gives blood and a life is saved, that moment when heartbreak turns to hope, you're there through the American Red Cross. Every day, the Red Cross responds to nearly 200 neighborhood emergencies, and your support makes it possible. Use this moment to join us today. Visit redcross.org.
Wildfires were getting dangerously close to homes. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at nationalguard.com.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That moment?
It was a moment that changed my life. I'd been training with my team for months, and now we had been called up for the first time. The real deal. Wildfires were getting dangerously close to homes. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at nationalguard.com.
Welcome back, and we're here talking about scents with Sue Phillips. Sue, tell us about ambiance and how scents play a big part on that.
That's such a great question. One of the things that is happening, again, with trends, is that the trend right now is to really use scent in a way to brand properties. What does that mean? The idea is that you can create a fragrance or a scent for a space, a public space, a hotel, a showroom, a retail clothing store, because when people come into the space and they see beautiful architecture or they see clothing or whatever they see that is being showcased in that retail or public space, it immediately triggers an emotion. And fragrance and memory are very interwoven. So when you walk into a store, when you walk into a hotel, or when you walk into a restaurant, typically, if it smells good, you can say, oh, what does that smell? It smells divine.
Right.
And you want to come back. And so what we do as well is we actually offer ambient scenting. We're working with believe it or not, a beautiful showroom in Florida that is a plumbing store. They have gorgeous fixtures, and they have the bathroom area and the kitchen area and the bedroom area, and they want to, really create a wonderful ambiance. So we're working to create a signature scent for the plumbing supply store in Florida.
Now, are they trying to trigger, let's say, a certain feeling?
Yes.
So, in
Yes.
other words, they have scents for different feelings that
Yes.
they want their customers to feel.
Exactly.
Okay.
And also, in most hotels today, if you go to Las Vegas, many, many hotels have their own signature scent, and what started out as a way to counteract the smoke odors in the casinos, and it's now being used as a way to scent brand the property. So when you walk into the Bellagio, or you walk into the Wyndham Hotel or the Venetian, there's an aroma that's now become associated with it. So you remember it, you want to go back to it. And also, we can do that for retail stores as well. So the idea of really creating your own fragrance for a brand, whether it be a retail store, a clothing store, a plumbing store, a hotel.
And real estate.
And real estate. And you know what they always say, if you want to sell a home, create a wonderful smell of baked apples or apples or cinnamon, so that people get that feeling of nostalgia. Oh, it smells so good, so we want to go back.
And these are in candles, or are they other than
It
candles?
can be in candles, it can be in reed diffusers. We also have equipment, we have machines. We have lovely little scent cubes and machines that actually diffuse fragrance for small, medium, and large areas. One of the things that comes to mind is in dorms. Many young kids today have their dorms, and they're not allowed to use candles because of the fire factor and the hazards. So we actually have wonderful, small, cute machines and little equipments of scent cubes that we can actually diffuse fragrance for small areas, for the dorms, for young men's and women's dorms and colleges and schools. So
I have a habit of wanting to have a scent when I'm cooking. And it drives my family crazy because it's like they have this confusion of two things happening.
Yeah, what's going on? The cooking is
the
one
cooking,
thing.
and then and then they say, don't bring in that scent into the kitchen because they're confused and we gotta eat. And so what do you do in a situation like that?
I think to your family's point, if you're going to be cooking something and they love the aroma of what's cooking, don't confuse them. Let them know that if that's what's going on in the kitchen, that's what they're going to have for that particular meal. Don't sort of, titillate their saliva and their memory glands to say, oh, well, we're not having this today, we're going to have it tomorrow.
Sue, do you have any contact information or website?
Yes. The website is Scenterprises.com. It's S for sugar, C for cat, and then the word enterprises. So www.scenterprises.com, and the information could be emailed to me at sue@scenterprises.com, and would love to hear from people if they're interested in fragrance, and certainly helping them to create their own.
Thank you so much for joining us, Sue.
Thank you so much.
Very,
It's been
very
great.
interesting subject.
And have a scentful day.
I sure will. I think I'm going to take some of these home.
Yes,
with me.
for sure.
That concludes our show for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to visit us on Facebook and Twitter. In the meantime, live the life you deserve.